And so that would kind of hold me back because I just wasn't sure if I was buying in the right area, if I was buying at the right time, if all of those little things that just held me back. Like, is it the right thing? Right. So having you as a property coach was a blessing. Push for the right thing for you, you know, and give you the best information. Having
Hello. Thank you
Hi.
for joining me, Dee. All right. So we've got a couple of people who are going to be watching this. Before we do start, please tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do for work, and what's something that brings you joy that's outside of work that you like to do with your time.
Okay, so I'm Deanna. I live in Sydney, work in HR and payroll. Have done so for the past decade or so, no, longer than that. But in the current company for about a decade. My girl Chili brings me joy. So my dog.
Who's Chili? Dog.
My dog. She's
Awesome.
my fur kid. So you know, getting out with her and going on little adventures and travel is another thing that brings me joy.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
And what else do you do with your time? Because we're on a lot of similar courses and educational stuff. We have a lot of similar interests we always end up on. What are some other stuff that you like to learn outside of work?
I'm learning to trade. So that's
Awesome.
one thing that, learning to trade and just trying to be a better human. So, you know, whether it's exploring spirituality, whether it's exploring, learning more about me and like my relationship with money, my relationship with the people in my life, just building better connections. So just trying to be a better human.
I love that. Beautiful. Better connections. That's
Yeah.
cool. And we've had an awesome connection. So speaking of, before meeting me, what was one of the things that you think that was holding you back from buying your next investment property? Actually, let's go back a step before we do that. How many properties did you have before we met? Do you have two? Or you just had the one?
I have had others, but when we met, I only had the one.
You had the one. Right, cool. Now, what was the core reason for you reaching out to me?
I loved your vibe, one, right? You came across as someone who knew their stuff, right?
Yeah, you can say shit on you. Who cares?
Yeah. I just who knew their stuff, and I wanted someone that would show me the best way to go forward, right? There were things that I was missing, and I knew that you'd be able to bring those to show me what it was that I was missing, or things that I could improve on.
And what was the thing you think that was holding you back from just going out and buying your own property all on your own, your next one? Because you'd already bought two, right?
Yeah.
Why not? Why can you do the next one on your own?
Three. So that when we met, I'd only had the one, right? And that's the thing, like if I had known certain things that you and I had discussed during our time, then I would never have sold my very first one. I would have kept it because that was paying itself off, right? But yeah, so, and I had looked at buying other properties, but I guess I was always scared that I was going to buy a lemon, that I was going to buy a property that wasn't going to do what I needed it to do. It was always a fear of, am I making the right choice with this property? And is it going to serve its purpose? And so that would kind of hold me back because I just wasn't sure if I was buying in the right area, if I was buying at the right time, if all of those little things that just held me back. Like, is it the right thing?
Yeah, awesome. And so, and then you reached out to me and then we started working together.
Yep.
So what do you think is one or two big things that you've learnt from me during your investment journey together?
100%. It's having a great team with like support team, right? So having you as a property coach was a blessing, right? The amount of stuff that you taught me, they're things that I'll take, like, you know, whether it's buying in a trust or researching a trust to see if it's worth, like, if it works for me or, you know, the situation, you know, having a really good broker that's going to kind of like push for the right thing for you, you know, and give you the best information, having people on your team that are actually on your team and not just someone that you're paying to get something done.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Because it's very common in the property industry where you have typically in like the buyer's agent industry, you just have them just like be the doer for you, but not necessarily have someone that's educating you and giving you different concepts and different ideas along the way. I love that.
Yeah.
And because you're also contemplating selling one of your other properties as well at the moment, right?
Yes,
Which is
that's right.
kind of holding you back at the moment.
Yep.
Awesome. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So how are you now feeling about your portfolio and the growth of it now that you've, so for context, for people watching this, you've now bought another property with the team. Awesome. Now, how do you feel about your portfolio growing?
Oh, really good. I love it. Having the forecast that is amazing because I can look at that and go, wow, this actually is reassuring that I can reach the goals that I have. And yes, one of the properties the original property that I have or had is holding me back from, buying the next property sooner. So if I hold on to it, it'll take me a little bit longer to get there, but that's just something I'm contemplating at the moment. But I feel a lot better about, how it's all tracking. Like now got this place secured. I love the fact that it is positively geared, right? Yeah, I feel like I've got a solid ground.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And it's funny because a lot of people don't understand when I talk about feelings as much. There's this, it's building wealth has a big feeling. And one of those feelings is the sleep factor. Can I sleep at night? Knowing that I'm making the right decisions and I've got exit strategies. That's cool. All right. I love that. All right. So one last question for you before we wrap this one up.
Yep.
If there was any other woman out there, single lady on their own, working a job, and potentially have tried doubling in a couple of investment properties like yourself, what's one piece of advice that you would give them starting off and how to think about building their portfolio?
Okay, so one of the things that I remember you teaching me from the very beginning was think like an investor, not a landlord.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that. What does that mean?
So when I was looking at properties to buy before I met you, I was looking at them as if, one, like, would I live here? Right. And then, is it nice enough? Is it this, and that? Like, that's one of the things that I would look at. But the other thing is look at the property as something that someone can live in. They'll pay you rent. You take that money and do whatever you need to do with it, right? Instead of, okay, I need to be invested in every single maintenance thing, every single issue with the place. You've got a property manager to do that. So, you set your limits, you do whatever you need to do that with your property manager so they know where they would have to come to you, right? And where you're like, no, you're free to do this because it's under a $250 or $300 repair, just fix it. You don't have to sit there and worry about every single detail. It's taking care of itself.
Awesome. So that sounds like another thing of like leaning on your team. Don't try and be control freak. I love that.
Yes.
So for context for those watching, what that is, I love this sentence. It just came to me one day. The difference between a landlord is a lord of the land. They're like, I'm a control freak. I need to know it all. And it's like, no, you don't. You just need to control the numbers. That's it. That's the difference between an investor versus a landlord. And I love that now that you're now looking at that as well, Dee. And that'll help you as well now be a lot more, take a passive approach to building a portfolio as opposed to being so active. Because I mean, that's what we all want, right? We all just want to passively have money coming into us whilst we sleep. So
absolutely.
I love that. Awesome. Well, I think there's a cool few nuggets in there.
Yeah.
Love all that. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up?
No, it's just been an absolute pleasure to work with you. So thank you.
Legend. Thank you. Appreciate you.